What's up, world? Love and greetings to everybody that come across this message in this video, especially for the young black males and white males and all the other race. But majority, this is for the black people and white people specifically. I want, if you come across this, to understand that I feel your pain. I want you to know that colorism or racism does exist. But it has nothing to do with anything. I had some incidents that happened. And I'll tell you this, hate will never solve any problem. It's only gonna not allow your frequency to coexist to become the best version that you need to be. Why do I say that? When you look at history, we're not talking spirituality, but it's all entailed because everything I do is spiritual. We're spiritual beings. So we can't leave that aspect out of that whole conversation. But I'm telling it to you from a point of view of the physicality and how that translates into spirituality. On the totem pole of all the race, the black people are on the bottom. Disrespected, ignored, not appreciated, misused. They have assumptions, stereotyping. And most black people are coming from a broken home, a broken system. Because your ancestry is the only ancestry that did not basically hold on to religion. They created religions, but they do not per se rule by religion. Hence, when you go to most black nations or African nations, you would know that kings and chiefs run the land. They own the resources. Therefore, Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Islamic religion, name all the other religions. None of them have lands. None of them own lands. But in the predominant part of the world, which we know as Africa, chiefs own lands, meaning they have title and deeds. So none of these religion nor political system actually owns land. In North America, you know that the chiefs own the land. So it's a similar system to the traditional system of the African system or the black race. Now, if your ancestors have been captured and resources have been taken away from you and your generations have been broken, because when war happens, they take the strong man out. And once they take the strong man out, it's left with the weak man or those who will comply. They are not weak, but based on tactics, they can't kill them all. They got to keep some. So the obedient ones will stay and later on transfer the energy or the information to go on. That's how nature works. Because they could have killed all black people, but they couldn't because they couldn't exist without them because they needed the labor in terms of slavery. Now, the rest of the world is being colonized by rules and regulation, by the political system, the religious system, because I told you church and state used to be one before Europe decided to separate those things, and then they had the queen and they had the kings and all that stuff. So they have taken from something that they already existed, a rule-based system that brought peace and love, unity, and progress to people and people with priority. In the Western world, it's about commerciality or business, commerce. And this commerce put people who are criminals over that, because in order for you to take my land or take the resources and pay a lesser price, you would have to kill me or rob me or cheat me or trick me through paperwork, whatever means that person has to do to con you. Or that's what it's called. It's called a contract. It's a contract, right? So now, if this has been done for generation after generation after generation, deprive you of reading, educating, knowing yourselves, you can't even come together and hang together because you're a threat. You're like a lion. As a black person, and especially the black male, you are like a lion. If tamed, they can play with you, they can talk to you, but you know that same lion can eat its owner, because it's not its nature just to be tamed like that. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be wild to be amongst the lions. So with this basic understanding, the only people that has answers to your questions even though the DNA is coded in you, but you don't know the history because it's so hard because of economical bondage. You can't travel around, you can't commingle, you can't go live in other part of the world and experiment because you're so accustomed to the western part of the world or other parts of the world in which you're migrated into, or your generation has been there, or whatever reasons that land is captured, that you are part of that particular system. The person, they say, if you ever heard this word, they say it takes a thief to catch a thief, or a criminal can only be subdued by another criminal. I realize all the other races are also not supportive of black race, whether it's Asian, brown, whatever. They disrespect us, but they need us and use us when they need to use us. And it's very out of mind to be able to go against the white race, because the reason why I say you can't go against the white race, you need to work with them, because their ancestors did that to your ancestors. But because of the laws of nature, the new generation that are coming in are starting to see the reality, because their own ancestors who rob other nations of the black race or the African race around the world have lost their power because of greed and commerce. So they left their own people behind, and their own people are now starting to feel like black people, feel the pain of black people. And their fathers or their mothers gave them their privileges to own and gave them the tools to be able to move the world into this particular reality in which you live in. So if you need to operate a machine and you're an African, you're a black person, and you don't have the education, you have some natural sense, because you know that information was captured and put into books, and those books now has become universities or educational system, but has been dumbing down and is given to those who can afford to go to the institution to be able to get the information. But the average white kid can probably be on a farm by the age of 10, 9 years, 11, 12, they're driving a tractor. They get into institutions, and based on connections or family lineages, they get jobs based on recommendations, okay? So they are accustomed to this tool. If you give this tool to an Indian, an Asian, they are also stealing from the white man, because the white man is in the lead of that understanding. So they don't really particularly know how that system really functions. I'll give you an example. I went to go get coffee. There's a bunch of immigrants, brown immigrants and Asian immigrants in Tim Hortons getting coffee. They all concentrated in the drive-thru, and there's so many of them working, and they're ignoring all the people that walk in there, the customers. So one white tall guy comes in there and goes, "Hey, excuse me." You can hear his voice is shaking. But he knew that if there was a proper manager, one of them should be on the tail, serving the people that are coming through the door. They should not ignore that part, and somebody else should be assigned to the window. And those who are assigned to different machines and parts of that assembly line can be able to be efficient and adequate. Now, I've been to the same place so many times, and they ignore us so many, because the rest of us standing in line are a bunch of immigrants or black people or the same race as they are, which is brown or yellow. And everybody's quiet. And whenever I speak, because of my tone, I might seem like I'm aggressive. You understand what I'm saying? But when the white man came in and he pulled in, he said that, and he's like, "You should have somebody, if there's a management here, this is the position, and that's the position." Then it clicked, and I said, yes, this was the argument I was trying to have with some intellectuals, and they didn't understand. Because that Tim Hortons, or that particular system in which you are running, is created by his ancestors. Forget the history of whatever has happened, but his ancestors are the ones who created this machine and knows how it functions. And therefore, if you leave all the other third world countries or people who are migrating into that system to run it, they will run it chaotically, because they don't have the confidence, the understanding, the reasoning, the purpose behind the customers coming through the door. Because if a customer get pissed off and jump over the counter or fight you, or something happen, the person at the drive-thru just left. Whether they bought bad food or not, they were left. It went on to the point where when the guy ordered the food, he even got, so one part I left out was that as soon as he asked him and questioned the people, all of a sudden, they started organizing quickly. They started serving everybody quickly, and they were shaking and they were moving like it's supposed to. And that's a privilege that generation enjoy, or they expect their system to operate as. And so they couldn't be like, question that person in his own language, which is the English language that he's speaking better than they are, to even make sense, because they will not even be able to debate that part. That's the part I left out. All right, let's go on. The other part will continue. Easy. Here, so the line cut. I ran out of data on memory. So after this man had ordered the food, he even told them that his cappuccino was too black and it was done wrong. And truly, within 30 seconds, they got it fixed. Then the other people in line, oh, my tea is wrong, my coffee is wrong. And they stood there. And when the guy was doing all this, he was looking at me, the black person, for approval. Tall white man. I could see his voice shaking. And after he was talking, every time he looked at me, I said I was like the authority in the place without even saying nothing, because you could tell that I'm like not happy with what they were doing in there, because I knew they were running a mayhem. And this comes to privilege. You know, we love ourselves, but as Canadians or as people or earthlings, even the immigration system is designed in such a way sometimes it chooses, commerce over humanity. If we're looking for the poorest people in the world to help, and they were educational or they have abilities that shows strong, vibrant ability, you will know black people are one of the most people that are the strongest in terms of like mentally, because of what they've been through or what they're going through and where they sit in their economical status in the totem pole. I keep telling people, anybody can be educated to be the finest human being if you give them the right moral system. But purposely, the fear of the black man is that he's like a lion. It's hard to tame that lion. And if you tame that lion understands what is going on. You better be on your P's and Q's, because then he's not going to allow you to get away with, the dismorale of that which you are telling him. Like you say, I should wait for Jesus, and I've been waiting for Jesus, and Jesus ain't coming, and you keep winning. And I look at you and I'm like, yo, wait a minute. What is Jesus' story you talking about? Or what is this religious book you talking about? Or what is this imaginary God you're giving me, basically? So I say this to say that I feel all your pain, and this new generation of white folks are willing to work with you, because they know that they are in a position where the greedy system that has been designed to take over the world has even turned on their own families. Not every white person is a privileged person, but they know their rights and they know how to go about it. And when they speak, people listen, because at the end of the day, abusing a white person, whether male or female, is literally a violation. They will listen to that person when the police officers come who are in charge. Will listen to them over you. The moment they describe you as black, you're guilty, because they know that you're an aggressive person based on your misunderstanding of your passion to be able to defend yourself, knowing that this is overly done or this is way past its limit. So I urge that, I know that most white folks would take the privilege, because they know what their ancestors was doing or their leaders are doing is wrong, by letting them go to wars to bully other nations and put sanctions and put tariffs. And now you've seen these information as they're going, as a nation can put a tariff on another nation to bring products in, and they'll have better currency than your currency. They can take your resources for literally dirt cheap, take it to another country and reproduce it for cheap labor and bring it back to the modern world or the newest world where they've conquered, and then basically sell it for nothing and really still rob those people at a high price. And those people are all combined because their children live in the same system. So they're eating themselves alive. You understand what I'm saying? They're eating themselves alive. So now, if you put two and two together, this racial disparity or the social hierarchy of classism that was designed and was put in place for white privilege, which they enjoyed for many hundreds of years, is now starting to eat its own children and its own society and its own people. Because after they put sanctions of nations, because if you put sanction on a nation not to be able to give them information or give them the tools to be able to build their countries to develop as much as you want to develop and make the rule of law that work in your country work in the same place, but you allow them to be corrupt, give them tools that actually deteriorate their mind and their next generation because they're under you. Because it's like Tarzan, okay? Tarzan was in the jungle raised by monkeys, and he had mannerism of monkeys, and right, or the animal behavior in him. So imagine if you're a black man, you're raised by a white person, you have the mannerism of the white person. So the mentality he has, you have, but you have the skin that doesn't match the privilege. And therefore, even your own people will not even accept you once you go amongst the real gorilla niggas who are in the how you say it, in the mud of it, right? So if we as people need to do something, especially the black race and the white race, we need to start listening to each other and looking at each other for our faults, because the guilt is already on their face. The guilt is already in your face. The guilt is already in your mind. It's prevalent. It's everywhere. You can see it everywhere, no matter what, because the corporate greed of their leaders and their ancestors who rule over the world is now starting to eat every white home. Then it goes to every Asian home. Then it goes to every brown home. Then it goes to every black home, because we're looking at totem pole. Then it goes to the red people, the Indians. They're not even the native Indians. They're not even part of it. They left them on the reserves. So as this history keeps playing itself and the reality keeps playing itself, even the police officer who's protecting the rich or the people who have given them the rule, when they hear your resonance of truth, or the judges, they hear your resonance of truth, they can feel it deep down, because it's affecting their own home, because the promises that was given to them that they will attain these things that their forefathers and parents had in the 70s and the 80s and the 60s and the 50s, while they were using the technology of tools that can be able to make the world a beautiful place. Look at the resources this world have. Endless resources, Monday through Friday. Even the homeless find food. There's abundance on this earth, but the mismanagement of evil leaders who are the leaders of both white and black or Asian, whatever it is, but the elite of it, we know is white privilege. And so I saw white privilege work, and it worked in my advantage, because then I looked and I said, yeah, he spoke and he made a change. But I know he can flip on me anytime, because he will choose money over human beings. And that is their system. And now they are starting to get to this awakening. And therefore, if we look at them and we don't work with the individual people that we meet on one-on-one and show this kind of understanding and see them where they are, and to be able to understand them and work with them to be able to equalize this, because the thief who stole from you knows what they stole and where they took it from, but you know what they stole from you. You understand? But you know where they can tell you where they took your stolen goods to and where it's at, because now it's in their possession. It's no longer in your possession. So the knowledge and the information, the things that you need to be able to better yourself and build yourself, is in the hands of those people and their children. And this cannot be hidden, or they cannot run away from it, because the sun and the moon and the stars will testify, the land and the air in which you stand on will testify, that you can see that the disparity of humanity is not based on the fact that people are bad, but it's because people are raised wrong, because the morality of the tools, the people who are using the opportunities that they have to dumbing down other people so that they can take advantage of them, because they cannot play on a fair playing field. They have to dominate something, because a religious book in the Bible says, take dominion over the people on earth. And that's an Adamic race, a new group of people, because the Bible tells you that Adam was created. So before Adam, what was there before the world? That every other traditional system that I tell you that is indigenous to the land has their own history of how the earth creation is about, and it supersedes the years of what the Islamic religion, the Buddhism religion, the Jewish religion, the Zoroastrian religions are going to tell you, because they're all based on one book, which is an Abrahamic book or storyline, right? So I feel your pain, and I feel like you can't trust white people. But my young black people, work with the white people, because if we allow other people to even take over, believe me, they will not understand, and they'll treat you worse, because they're trying to jump over your neck to get up there without even understanding whatever it is. But if you have a white person who's a little bit understanding of himself and what his karma is and what he has to do to be able to make things right and bring justice to you, or help you, or assist your generation, or assist himself and bring peace around here, and you can be able to just turn that key to bring love and peace, you will see that the hate that you have for that person will no longer be necessary, but let